Oh my life, I'm back, and it's time for another look back at last week and a little catch up on how everyone's doing here at the sanctuary. I'm cheating a little bit today. I'm in the office as the forecast for Monday is quite shocking. Now, as you know, most of our worry and attention has been on Uber. He's been on a very strict soup-only diet with soaked meadow nuts, metoclopramide and linseed to try and kickstart his stomach, and he's been having plenty of PEMF sessions as well with our off-mag system to hopefully help get his gut restarted. The big news from last week was that his latest scope showed no impaction and that his ulcers have almost completely healed. So, as I said, we're not out of the woods yet, and the real test now is how well he copes as we slowly reintroduce some grass alongside his soaked feed. And that's a little bit difficult at this time of year. But for now, he's brighter, more comfortable, and he seems to be enjoying his bowls of soup that he gets, and he's even having some treat balls. But he hasn't been the only one on the vet list. Nika, as some of you will know, had her second tooth out. And then just to keep us on her toes, she added a little eye ulcer into the mix as well. So she's now on drops twice a day. Annie gave us a fright midweek when she wouldn't weight bear very well on a hind leg. So she had a few nights in Bessie's barn, resting with some fute that she's on anyway, and some PEMF sessions. But she is walking more comfortably now. Ida also came in with one leg a little poorly. He had a rest, but he seems fine now. Jubba's ate a little bit too much grass, and so got a little bit of lammy, because there's obviously still sugars around at this time of year. Thankfully, they're all looking a lot better, and Annie let us very firmly know that she'd rather be out mooching again than tucked up inside. So, as I always say, they know best. Down at the girls' turnout, it's been another big week. The last of the concrete went in at the entrance to the barn. The bog mats have finally come up that were protecting that gas pipeline. And Tony, David and Vince have all been hard at work down there. The fencing's pretty much completed. The gates are all in place, so thank you to everybody who sponsored those. Tony's been up to his eyes in the dust, getting that spread and rolled. That's the 5 mil to dust. That's going to be much kinder on everybody's foot down there, and will make it much easier to clear up after them. We also started clearing out the top barn, and we've taken one of the carriages so far down to the new building. The next one to go is the antique phaeton, which Anne has been lovingly cleaning, ready for it to move down there. And of course, the real highlight was at the end of the week when we moved all the girls out of their very muddy, soggy field into their 14-acre winter turnout. They don't have access to their new playground and barn, or palace as I've got into the habit of calling it, but watching them go through the gates and just onto that fresh green grass was really special, and to look at them all standing staring at the building was fantastic. We then finished off on Saturday in the Friendship Barn for the Christmas raffle live draw. Annie joined us for that, and there were lots of very happy prize winners, so congratulations to all. So that's where we're at really. Uber is stepping into the next phase of his recovery. A few others are on the mend. The girls are settling into their winter field, and their new turnout area is really starting to feel like the dream that we've been working towards. Anyway, as for the week ahead, as I said earlier, the forecast isn't looking very good for Monday. We're expecting quite heavy rain, which is probably going to mean that Tony can't get on with the rest of the dust getting laid around the outside of the building. Now, as much as we've tried to pre-plan everything, a project of this size always throws up some surprises. So some we can deal with now, others are going to have to wait their turn, because the main focus was always on getting the groundwork sorted and the building up. And now that the big pieces are in place, we've got the whole winter to live and work with the space, decide what's going to work best for the future and what else we might need to do to make it run as efficiently as possible for both horses and humans. So the focus this week is on the overall area, getting the outside groundwork finished, getting those water harvesting tanks plumbed in. Hopefully getting a couple more of the carriages down there, getting their storage areas sorted out for all their equipment. The main sliding doors for the back of the barn are being made this week by Warings, and they have promised that they'll be in place before the grand opening, and we really need them there before the girls can go in, because as much as we love them, we don't want them wandering around the little storage area, helping to reorganise everything in there. With the way the weather is this week, our main mission on the yard is simply to keep the horses well cared for, fed, watered, comfortable, deal with all their individual quirks as they crop up. I do have an earlier trip to see Mel this week on Tuesday. Wednesday is our usual live day, so weather permitting, we'll obviously bring you morning feed time live, and then we'll see what else we can do. We've got Sam in on Thursday to check on Nika's teeth, and hopefully Chris will have recovered from his man flu and he'll be doing some pedicures. Elsewhere around the farm, Bailey has a very big week this week with his final rehearsals for this year's pantomime. He's playing the Dane in the Snow Queen with performances on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Now, he's still buzzing after earning a distinction in his latest Lambda exams, which I'm so proud of him for. So his morale is pretty high at the moment, start of the panto season. Michael's obviously continuing work on the ship and on the roof, while Edward and his team carry on with all the stone facing. You may have also spotted the scaffolding over the workshop. Now, I haven't mentioned it before because the company doing the work, let's just say they're a little camera shy. The roof has now been repaired thanks to one of our incredibly kind sponsors, and that's going to make the workshop a much more useful space for everybody here at the farm. So once it's watertight by the end of the week, the big challenge will then be getting everything organised so tools can be found and, more importantly, put back where they belong, and also protected because they're all going a bit rusty and getting very damp. What else this week? We've also got Electricity Northwest coming. They're going to be upgrading cables that run through the top of the Hoyts and Jubbers field. Now, thankfully, they're not going to be digging through their garden itself. It's all to do with apparently upgrading the earthen cables, so they've got some pretty solid rock that they need to chop through. But once that's done, they're going to be back in the new year upgrading the system as a whole. So there's going to be a bit more noise, a bit more disruption, and a rather messy field for a few days, but it's all going to be worth it in the end. Finally, as always, a huge thank you to everyone who's been heading over to the wish list, whether you've helped with feed, contributed towards the vet's bills, which are rather large, or bought items to help kit out the new girls' turnout area. I've been looking over the accounts these last few days, and I'll be honest, it's quite daunting when you sit down and look at the full picture. I will talk about this more another time, especially when I share the time lapse of the girls' area, so that you all know exactly where your contributions are being spent. It's genuinely fascinating, and I think many of you are going to be surprised at the real costs behind a project like this, as well as our day-to-day running costs. Right then, that's the week ahead. Let's see what the weather's going to throw at us, what surprises the horses have in store for us this week, and as always, thank you for being with us. Wonderful journalists.